Welcome everyone, Christine here with my essential battle guide for Ultimate General American Revolution. Over here I have taken out Boston. Actually I took Boston 2 months ago over here in the game because it is July 21st, 1775. I took Boston in the middle of May. And I annihilated all the British troops that were in the area. So far I've annihilated well over 9,000 British troops in this area. And about 3,000 over here in Ticonderoga. So I've kind of won this campaign pretty much. Although the map hasn't opened up towards Quebec, which is the final stage. So like the map has Boston initially, then opens Ticonderoga, then it opens up towards Canada. That's the final stage. The final stage, if you do well in the early stage, is not especially difficult, though some interesting things do end up happening in that final stage, especially if you play it for a bit longer. Anyway. When we're talking about battles, one of the things that people struggle with is because, well, militia are just not that great as units. So that's something quite a few people struggle with. Your guns are worse than the enemy. Your units are worse than the enemy. How do you win battles? Well, you can certainly achieve parity in terms of the unit quality, though keep in mind the British will typically have better artillery, better units, better guns. You can certainly steal their guns and you can make better units yourself. One of the things people recommend is unlocking the Continental Army as quickly as possible, because not only will you be able to recruit Continental Army troops, you'll be able to upgrade your militia regiments into Continental Army regiments, Fusilier regiments, though there is a downside in doing so. That particular downside is, one, it costs quite a bit, in particular in the number of officers. So over here, if I want to upgrade the Bennington militia, it's going to cost me 9 officers. I have 19 officers in total, and I'm about to fight a major land battle. Those officers are not going to be present much longer in my campaign. So if I do this, say goodbye to to half my officers in this situation. Also, another issue with doing so is like Fusilier companies, infantry regiments, will not have skirmishers. Now, skirmishers are pretty useful. They shoot quite well. They can run faster than line infantry. They can spot the enemy. So if we look at the difference in terms of statistics over here, even though they're the same units in the same regiment, we can see the firearms, reload, speed of these units. So speed 2, all that. Then we can look at the Fusiliers, still speed 2, better melee capability, better firearms capability, reload capability, all that stuff. And then, of course, we have to consider the guns, not just the troop qualities themselves. You'll be able to produce civilian muskets right from the start, but obviously Brown Besses are significantly better guns. Not necessarily in terms of their efficiency or reload, because if we look at the difference in terms of efficiency and reload, that, while Brown Besses are better, is really the melee capability that stands out. 38 for Brown Besses, 18. So 20 more melee benefits to Brown Besses. That is quite significant, and it's what gives the British a significant advantage against you early on in a campaign. So how do you nullify that advantage? Well, tactics, battle tactics are important, but there's also things you can do on the campaign map. Obviously, getting your own Brown Besses, upgrading your units, all that's pretty obvious. So like going in headquarters, getting the Continental Army as quickly as possible through the Commander-in-Chief once you can do it is important. I've done a whole guide on the early game. If you're interested in how to take Boston as quickly as possible on normal difficulty, follow that guide, you'll be able to do it. Though it is important to understand how to fight battles, so that's the reason for this video. But certainly getting access to a Continental Army and spending their reputation to do so is going to be significant. You can also train your troops to try and even things out, upgrade those units, though without being able to use skirmishers, which are much lower down the tree and cost significantly more, because like you have to get like Minutemen skills and you have to get skirmishers. That's a lot of reputation that right now I just don't have. I can't really afford to spend it. And actually, I just flat out don't have it. Like, I can upgrade the experience benefit, but I can't upgrade the skirmishers. And also, there's other things. Granted, I did make a mistake in getting Dragoons as quickly as possible, because while you may get Dragoons as quickly as possible, you certainly will not be able to equip those Dragoons. Though I'm kind of wondering, I can at least start producing Brown Besses, so I will stop doing that and yeah, get the short Brown Bess over there. I wonder, can I equip cavalry regiments with short no. You can only do with Dragoon Carbine, which makes perfect sense. So those are some of the things to know on the campaign. Obviously, there's a lot more things. Another thing I'd say is very important. There's plenty of statistics in the game, but one of the more important one is stamina. So your endurance, the endurance on your troops is certainly very, very important because it will allow your troops to stay much longer in the fight. It affects, the way I see it, like stamina, endurance, all that, it affects condition. That's my understanding of it. Could be wrong on that. Feel free to correct me if I am. Now, my general has been running around the campaign map, so he's got the 91 endurance. That is a significant amount. This affects unit condition. I'm not sure if it's his unit or the units around him and the radius around him. Probably is the units in the BAL, like in his general radius, because in the influence radius, though I'm not entirely certain about that. There's a lot of things that are obtuse in this game and difficult to figure out. This game really needs better tooltips, better markings, better understanding of how mechanics work. That should be reflected much easier. Like when I'm looking at the unit, I should have a lot of the information I know very clearly laid out. I should know what kind of guns they have. All those kind of things. Or, you know, having access, being able to more easily see the statistics on those units, that kind of stuff. Instead of having to go through, to either hover over or more annoyingly having to click the button and edit to be able to see what these units can do. That is annoying. That is one of the downsides of the game. But without further ado, enough about the situation on the campaign. Obviously, you want your troops with good ammunition, good morale, condition before a battle. So condition, how tired they are, morale, pretty self-explanatory, ammunition, pretty self-explanatory. So with that in mind, let's go into this battle. 3,700 troops. You can see it if I just select all of them. 3,700 troops with 120 guns over here against about 4,000 British regulars. Let's win this battle. Okay, so as you start the battle, the positioning of your troops, the positioning of the enemy troops will be dictated by where they are on the campaign map. Since they're just outside of Middleborough, which you can see over there to the east, and some of my guys were closer to them, some of them were further away. This is the deployment I got. An interesting thing, the developers have claimed, I'm not sure how accurate it is, though it is amazing if it's true, they have claimed that the weather they're using, because there is rain, there's fog, all that, the weather effects they're using in battles do match like the historical weather patterns that existed, that occur at the time. That tells me two things. One, there's an amazing attention to detail from the developers, and two, it really shows how devoted and obsessed the Americans have always been with historical records. Because America has a gigantic paper trail. If we're all wiped out by a disease tomorrow, and aliens discover us, they'll be talking about America. I'm pretty certain that they will know about America, just from what remains of the National Archives. Anyway, so how do you win a battle over here? My general is over here. I want to send them to the front. How do you win a battle? With a lot of crappy troops, some good troops, and I don't even care like where the line infantry are, because by the way, it can be difficult to differentiate them. Like I do know where like the starting units I have are, but some of the others like these guys, yeah, I know they're there, but like some of the things are difficult to figure out. So, what kind of formation do you want to have? By the way, I'm not sure if the capture points have any kind of effect in battles. Maybe they do. Maybe it's explained in the tutorial. Those tutorial videos that are in-game don't work for me at the moment, so can't really watch them. Just having issues with that. And, well, I do dislike when developers do tutorials like that. Anyway. So, in terms of deployments, what do you want to do? Well, you want to protect any kind of unit that you have that's weaker. They can still play a role in the battle. Like, so these guns, these units can still play a role, but you do want to keep them further away, protect them. So what do you want to do? Well, you want to form a line of battle, and you want to make it as wide as possible against the enemy. And you'll see why in just a moment as the battle fully begins, why that's going to be important. So we got reinforcements. We're going to start moving them closer to the enemy. I haven't seen the enemy just yet. They will come into contact. That's the reason skirmishers are so important to have. So I don't have any skirmishers. I'm going to pay the price for it over here. So yeah, I might just, like, at one point in the campaign, there might be a real value in just, like, making as many Continental Army troops as possible, dismissing those militia companies that you start with, replacing them with Continental Army troops or upgrading them, better off. And then, and yeah, of course, the British have everything that you might want. So over here, we've got several units moving to engage. Now, here's an important fact that you want to know when you're dealing with engagements. You cannot afford to engage the enemy on the entire line of battle at once. You do so, you will lose. Flat like that. And the key to winning battles is not ranged. Ranged units, artillery, like the artillery advantage the AI has is going to count for squat. The key to victory is melee. But how do you win when your units have significantly worse melee stats than enemy and are also prone to charge against you? Well, one of the things you do is you abuse the fallback position that currently exists in the game, because that will stop a charge. But even if you're not willing to abuse that, then I understand why. I'm also not fond of it. Though keep in mind the AI will certainly abuse it against you. What you want to do as a player is something like this. You withdraw on sections of the battlefield where you may not have the advantage. You lure them into a false sense of security, and you mass units on certain flanks where you have a 3-to-1, 2-to-1, at least a 2-to-1 numbers advantage. So over here, I'm just going to countercharge them. By the way, because of all the commentary I'm doing, I might just lose this battle, so just bear in mind, because, like, this is going to be a tough one. But that's the essence of winning these battles. Like, withdraw, lure them into positions, lure them into your prepared positions, get them to break their formation, defeat them on a flank. So the key to winning the battle is not anything that's happening here at the moment. The key to winning the battle right now for me is what's happening here. Because right now, I'm looking to envelop the enemy. Forget the artillery, it doesn't matter. Spread your units apart to deal with artillery. That's what's important there. When the enemy charges, throw a lot more units than they have. So some of my units there are going to be routed. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. I have men to spare over here. As long as I win the battle and annihilate as many of the enemy units as possible, that's what's really gonna matter over here. So over here we're engaging melee, 3-to-1, 2-to-1, 4-to-1 advantages. I've rolled up this entire flank of the army. I focused on that. I bought myself some time here. I'm still buying myself some time. Artillery will do that. I've engaged in glorious melee combat because everyone worships Khorne in this game for whatever reason. It's like blood for the blood god indeed. Though funnily enough, there's no blood in this game. Khorne is disappointed by that. He'll want a refund. And why do you do this? Why is this important? Well, as I stated, you have even numbers to the right. You want to have at least even numbers to the enemy, but your units are lower quality than they are, right? So how do you manage a win? You roll up a flank with local superiority, and then once local superiority is established, you have your troops standing and fighting. I haven't necessarily demonstrated that well over here. You have your troops holding the line or delaying the enemy. You fall back, you break charges, you withdraw. But you force the enemy to pursue over here. So I've certainly inflicted some damage over here in this flank. I'm starting to roll up their entire army over here. They're still going to be annoying. They're still the artillery to bring up. Don't engage the artillery in melee or in anything until you've won the melee engagement. And that's what you want to do. Flanking from flanking from the side, flanking from behind. Range combat is useless. If my guys had shovels, they would be better melee fighters. That's not even a joke. That's literally what soldiers figured out in World War I. That bayonets, yeah, they're good. The mighty shovel is the greatest weapon of war. No joke. So yeah, so it's not an ideal situation what's going on here in the battle, but like their artillery, well, the problem for the AI over here is like, while they certainly can, the problem for the AI, of course, is that a lot of these units they're pursuing that they did break are drawing them away from where the real fight is happening, which is over here. Oh, my supply cart just held them off, actually. So. Now, what do you do against cavalry, you might ask? That's really the question. Simple answer with regards to melee cavalry is that with cavalry, same principle. You throw 4 units at them. Ideally, you would do so with bayonets on your side, but you throw units against them. 4 units of melee will defeat a cav unit, a dragoon unit. That's the key to winning that. And now, in these smaller engagements with local superiority on my side, while the balance of power might seem more balanced than it actually is, reality, the battle is effectively won. Though, bear in mind, just because you've ended up in a situation like this does not mean you should sit on your ass. You still want to pursue the enemy. You want to specifically shatter the units to eliminate them completely, because they can replenish their numbers if you leave them alive. So they might come back for round 2. That's one of the problems I think people are encountering in the campaign. They might win a battle, but then they let the enemy escape. You don't want them to escape. You want to be merciless. This is one of the downsides of not having cavalry, I imagine. Well, the same. What will I do about the artillery? Well, honestly, I don't need to do anything about that artillery right now. Like I said, the artillery is worthless. Though it does have its uses. I think I've lost all my artillery over here. Like, I could have done a better firing retreat, used better fallback over there. But it's these kind of principles here that will win the battles. So a lesser army enveloped and annihilated a greater army. This is the key to the success in a campaign. Now, to be sure, things have not necessarily gone exactly as I would have wanted. I've certainly taken far more casualties than I would have wanted. I would probably reload and fight this battle again if this was a serious one. Though I'd probably focus less on the commentary as well. So, and I'm going to want to get these guys off the field. There's more units. Oh, what is going on over there? So let's pursue. Now, this is the annoying thing. Melee charges can certainly be interrupted fairly easily. And you can see more units shattering. Now, how do you deal with the artillery? Don't just walk up to them with 1 unit. They will wipe you out. Like right now, the only concern I have in terms of winning this battle is nothing that remains in terms of the enemy melee capable or line infantry capability, though their skirmishers are certainly going to be an annoyance. My only concern, I'll actually take my troops, and you should do this as well. Like when your troops have been readily exhausted by a huge fight, just stop and rest when it comes to finishing the AI off. So over here, I'm actually just going to speed things up. Might lose more units in the process, but for all the pursuits, but like reform the battle line. So while I'll certainly take some damage from that massive artillery, there is a solitary artillery unit. And now it's time to deal with artillery. I swear, artillery is the one thing I'm terrified of. The reason I'm terrified of them is because they can easily withstand a full-blown charge. The reason is not because I think they have such good melee capabilities. It's because, well, when they drop their guns, I think it's causing some kind of animation situation. So let's go. So really, I ain't terrified of the British regulars. I'm terrified of their freaking artillery. Imagine artillery standing there. Also, it's probably because the artillery is the unit with the best morale, best condition by the time you encounter them, so that's certainly an issue. To deal with. This did not go necessarily as well as I would have wanted. Maybe because they have actual melee weapons. Now, skirmishers are not good melee units, bear in mind. I'd rather not lose Washington. Okay. So we're gonna do that. Okay. Get up. Can I get any of these guns? No, I cannot. Not that they have any ammo to use anyway. Skirmishers are first ring. They might even be outnumbering me on the field, that's why they're not breaking. And that shooting capability is certainly starting to pay off for them. Can't even freaking see them. As said, melee charges can be interrupted. Wait, ain't that annoying? They should be out of ammo by this point. From all the shooting they've done. Ah yes, the situation where you don't have skirmishers, okay. Come on. That's been dragging on for too long. Alright, that's it. Victory. Now that was certainly a bloodbath. I did lose well over half my army, 2/3 of my army. I lost a lot of units, but they lost more, and higher quality troops as well. To be sure, some of those engagements did not go as well as I would have wanted, but now we just roll up, take what remains. And they surrender. They will only surrender on the campaign map if they've lost a significant portion of their troops. And you vastly outnumber them. So that's it. Melborough is mine, the supplies are mine. That's all you need to know. And there are no more British troops on the map, I might add. Not here. Now, to be clear, that was not ideal. I could have done better in terms of keeping my guys alive. Though, I do kind of wonder, did I lose really that many men? Yeah. Well, I certainly did lose a significant number of officers, so replenishing that is going to be certainly a problem. Especially because you can't put a unit without officers. Okay, so one of the things you might be researching a lot is replenishing the lower ranks. Well, we got some officers there. Though we need some guns. At this point, my units will be using brown besses. You can thank the generosity of the British army for all the brown besses, the 2,000 brown besses that I've captured thanks to them. Life is cheap. It is measured in officers and muskets. Really. A fitting altar, I suppose, for corn. Not enough ammunition to train those units. Well, we're just gonna stop the ammunition training. And that would be pretty much it. Also, all those guns, all those lovely, lovely guns that I just did capture. Wait, you're telling me there's not enough guns? How is that? Okay, that is certainly a bit ridiculous. Well, anyway, Questine signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.